I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. The seating area isn't accessible right now.
This is ridiculous.
She was denied entry because of her wheelchair. Then a single dad spoke up. What happened next sparked a moment that flipped the whole scene upside down, and showed everyone what true courage and kindness really look like. The streets of downtown Portland glimmered beneath the amber glow of streetlights as Ethan Miller, a devoted single father, herded his 2 children toward a popular pizza spot. Friday nights had become their little tradition, a way to end the week with laughter and greasy slices. Since losing his wife 3 years ago, Ethan had promised himself that no matter how hard life got, his kids would never feel unloved. The air carried a hint of frost, and Ethan tucked his hands into his coat pockets as they waited for their table. He was smiling at something his daughter said when he noticed a woman in a wheelchair approaching the entrance. She moved slowly, balancing a small bag on her lap, her face lit with quiet determination. But as she reached the door, the restaurant hostess stepped in front of her. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop your country in the comment below and please like the video. Thank you. Now let's continue. Ethan's smile faded. From where he stood, Ethan could clearly hear the hostess whisper to her coworker, her expression stiff with annoyance. Moments later, she looked at the woman and said curtly, "Sorry, we don't have space for a wheelchair inside. It'll block the walkway." The woman froze. Her eyes darted downward, and her hands trembled slightly on her wheels. The pain of embarrassment rippled across her face. Ethan's chest tightened. His son tugged at his sleeve, whispering, "Dad, why is she sad?" He exhaled slowly, then walked forward. "Excuse me," he said, his voice steady but sharp. "Are you actually turning her away because of her wheelchair?" The hostess crossed her arms. "It's just our policy. We're full and the aisles are narrow. It's not personal." Ethan looked at her, disbelief flickering in his eyes. "Policy," he repeated. "No policy should ever come before someone's dignity." The woman's cheeks flushed with humiliation as she tried to back away. That was the moment Ethan made a choice. He turned to the hostess and said firmly, "If she can't eat here, then neither can we." The restaurant fell silent. A few diners paused mid-bite, watching. The hostess frowned. "Sir, you're overreacting." Ethan shook his head. "No, I'm teaching my kids something more important than pizza." Then he turned to the woman and offered a gentle smile. "There's a diner across the street. The food's good and they welcome everyone. Would you care to join us?" For a moment she hesitated. Then slowly she smiled. "I'd like that," she said softly. Together they crossed the street, Ethan, his 2 children, and the woman in the wheelchair, moving toward a small diner glowing warmly in the cold night. The diner's door swung open to reveal a kind-faced owner with silver hair and tired eyes that still held warmth. Without hesitation, he cleared a table near the window and said, "Make yourselves at home." Within minutes, steaming plates of burgers and fries filled the table, and laughter began to replace the tension of earlier. The woman introduced herself as Clara Dawson. She had a lively spark, the kind of energy that drew people in despite the quiet sadness behind her eyes. Between bites, she shared her story. 5 years earlier, a car accident had left her paralyzed. Since then, she'd learned to adapt and move forward. But that night's rejection had pierced something deeper. "I just wanted a normal evening out," she said quietly. "You'd be amazed how many doors stay closed for people like me." Ethan's daughter leaned forward, her small voice sincere. "You can eat with us any time you want." Clara's eyes softened, and for the first time that evening, she smiled without holding back. "Thank you, sweetheart. That means more than you know." What started as an awkward dinner turned into an unforgettable night. Clara told funny stories about her travels before the accident, and Ethan's kids giggled uncontrollably. Ethan found himself relaxing in a way he hadn't in years. There was something about Clara's strength, the way she refused to let pain define her, that stirred something inside him. By the time dessert arrived, they were talking like old friends. When it came time to pay, Clara insisted. Ethan laughed and shook his head. Not a chance. You're our guest tonight. She smiled in surrender. All right. But next time, dinner's on me. They parted ways outside, exchanging goodbyes beneath the glowing diner sign. Ethan watched her wheel away into the night, thinking that their paths would probably never cross again. 2 weeks later, a white envelope arrived at Ethan's small apartment. The handwriting was neat and elegant, the kind that made you sit down before opening it. Inside was a folded letter and a check. Ethan's breath caught as he read. Dear Ethan, that evening at the diner reminded me that goodness still lives in this world. You didn't know this, but I own several restaurants across Oregon, including the one that turned me away. Not anymore. I've sold it and donated the proceeds to make dining spaces across the state more accessible for everyone. But I'd like to do something else for you. I'd love for you to manage one of my new family-focused restaurants. The position comes with benefits, flexible hours, and room to grow. It's my way of thanking you for standing up for what's right when it would have been easier to stay quiet. With appreciation, Clara Dawson. Ethan read it twice, his hands trembling. His kids ran into the room asking what was wrong. He looked at them with teary eyes and smiled. Nothing's wrong, kids. Something wonderful just happened. A month later, Ethan stepped into his new restaurant, bright, spacious, and built with accessibility in mind. Wheelchairs rolled freely between tables. Parents with strollers laughed comfortably. No one felt out of place. Near the entrance hung a framed photo. Ethan, his 2 kids, and Clara sitting together at the diner table, smiling wide. Below it, a brass plaque read, "Kindness is the real secret ingredient." Customers often asked about the picture, and every time Ethan shared the story, not to boast, but to remind others that compassion never goes unnoticed. His children listened proudly each time, remembering the night their father chose kindness over convenience. Over time, Ethan's restaurant became known not just for its food but for its heart. People from all walks of life gathered there. Families, workers, students, and those often overlooked by society. Every person who walked through the door felt like they belonged. Ethan often thought back to that cold Friday night, the night he decided to speak up when silence would have been easier. One simple act of compassion had set off a chain of blessings he never could have imagined. In a world that often feels hurried and harsh, Ethan's story stands as a quiet reminder. Kindness is powerful. It doesn't need to be grand or perfect, just genuine. Sometimes, standing up for one person can change the course of many lives, including your own. So, the next time you see someone being treated unfairly, be the voice that speaks up. Offer a hand. Share a smile. Because when you choose kindness, the world doesn't just get a little better, it becomes brighter for everyone. Before you go, if this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Echoes of Life Stories. Every click, every comment, every share helps us bring more real, emotional stories like this one to life. Stories about hope, compassion, and second chances. Your support means the world to us and keeps the flame of storytelling alive. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from and what part of this story moved you the most. Because somewhere out there, another heart needs this reminder that kindness still exists and love can find you in the most unexpected places. Stay with us, keep believing, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that echo life itself.